Welcome into the Saturday Conversation. I'm Bobby Burton. I am going to be talking a little bit about several different things today. We're going to talk a little house settlement / what it all means, really, for players, coaches, and administrators. I've got some details that came out in a 36-page brief, frequently asked questions style yesterday that was published by the NCAA. I want to tell you a little bit about that, because I think it's some things that will be particularly interesting to Texas fans. I also want to talk a little softball. There's something going on as it relates to NIL right now with Texas Tech and softball. The Red Raiders have signed 3 All-Americans from other schools during the softball portal window. Clearly, something going on with NIL there that's maybe a little bit different than what other people are doing. And then last but not least, I want to focus in somewhat on what's going on this morning over on the 40 acres with all of the recruits. 14 recruits in total made it to campus yesterday and are now going through the official recruiting process. This episode of the Saturday Morning Conversation, as always, brought to you by our friends over at Advanced Pain Care. Dr. Mark Malone and his group offer same day and next day appointments. Just give them a call if you're hurting at all. All right, so here we go. Let's talk a little bit about this house settlement. And the NCAA issued a release yesterday on Friday discussing what is a good and bad application of it and how the NIL Go will work, how the cap starts, etc. So here are the key rules to know. The cap starts, this $20.5 million cap. It starts every year on July 1. So institutional NIL runs from July 1 to June 30th of each year. In other words, this coming July 1 is going to be a new calendar year for all Texas football players. There are going to be some guidelines that players have to adhere to. You have to be a full-time student. You have to be making progress toward your degree. There can even be some bonuses attached to good grades and or conduct. But even those bonuses or, incentives, so to speak, they count against the cap. So they can't be outside that $20.5 million number on institutional NIL. A couple other facts that I think are going to be important as we look ahead. Multi-year agreements are now admissible. Before, you could only have a 1-year deal. Now you can actually have multi-year deals in this new college sports landscape. As well as buyouts are allowed. So if Team A signs a player to a $200,000 contract and he leaves ahead of time, there could be a $100,000 penalty that Team B has to pay if he intends to go to Team B and transfer from Team A. We'll see what shape the buyouts take and how they're negotiated. It will be interesting to see which schools actually try to implement buyouts and which ones don't. Some schools will not likely do it at all, but some will try to actually kind of keep their players in place as using that in the corporate world. You call it golden handcuffs. You don't let people go because, frankly, they have to pay too much to get out of their original agreement. As far as multi-year agreements go, I want to add this. There is a stipulation involved in that where you can only have an agreement as long as you have eligibility remaining. So you can enter with a 4-year deal, but after your sophomore year, you can't sign a 5-year deal. You can only hit that agreement as long as you are expected to be at that university. So there's some guidelines or guardrails as it relates to the institutional NIL. What happens is, who is going to oversee this and manage all of this NIL? And it's going to be the College Sports Commission. That is the whole purpose of the College Sports Commission. They are going to oversee aspects of regulation, including not just NIL compensation, but also roster limits. So, for example, the individual sports have to figure out what their roster limits are going to be and abide by it, even in a time of transfer portal. So that's going to be a little bit difficult. But really, that should be just paperwork shuffling. The real issue is going to be all NIL compensation. And all NIL compensation, as it relates to the College Sports Commission, can be one of three types. University NIL, which is what we just talked about, the $20.5 million that all Big Four Big Four conference schools are going to dole out to their players. So that's University NIL is one. The other two are separated into two different parts. One is called affiliated entities NIL. The other is non-affiliated entities. So an affiliated entity might be Learfield IMG, which holds the media rights for the University of Texas. Another affiliated one might be Texas One Fund. We'll see if that gets designated that way. Non-affiliated entities will be, let's say, EA Sports in their college football game, Nike, who works with multiple universities. They wouldn't be an affiliated group. So really, they're talking about affiliated groups or individuals. So affiliated would also be big name boosters, perhaps. I think the number that everyone is talking about that you give per year, it's over $50,000 to a university, you are considered an affiliated party in this new world order of the College Sports Commission. So those three aspects of NIL compensation, university is going to be fairly easy. The universities will manage that alongside the College Sports Commission oversight. Non-affiliated versus affiliated is where it gets a little dicey. Some rules as it relates to that. And we've heard some of these. We haven't heard all of them in this thing that was released yesterday. One of them is this. NIL Go is the new entry point for student athletes. It's the responsibility of the athlete to file these anytime a single individual or party gives you $600 or more. You have to be approved. And if you are an affiliated group, that then becomes what the College Sports Commission role becomes. If you're a non-affiliated group, it's a different category. An affiliated group must satisfy the range of compensation. So this is the part where the NCAA and the College Sports Commission are concerned about big-time boosters, which we're going to talk about one a little bit later over at Texas Tech, may try to buy an entire team in softball, for example. If they can't outpay a range of compensation if you're an affiliated group or individual. Okay, so that's the affiliated rule, and that must satisfy the range of compensation. If you're a non-affiliated group, if you're Nike, you can pay whatever you want. You don't have to satisfy the range of compensation. So it's very interesting that we could be seeing this push of dollars going to non-affiliated groups like Nike. Maybe Texas does a deal with Nike, or A&M does a deal with Adidas, where those companies try to push some of their money towards the players as opposed to the university compensating them for their NIL. We'll have to see what that really looks like, but it's one loophole that I think is going to be very important as we go forward. The other issue that the College Sports Compensation or Commission has a role on, and this is Brian Seeley, by the way, the new head of it, is what happens if the NIL Go team kick back a agreement and say this isn't going to be possible. We're not going to allow this. Well, there's potential arbitration and potential penalties. So the potential arbitration, for example, you have to file an agreement with NIL Go within 5 business days of the agreement being signed. So it's no, oh, well, we had this signed and you can put it in the last minute. It has to be 5 business days within its sign. And then the College Sports Commission through NIL Go and Deloitte determine whether or not it's a permissible benefit or permissible contract. If they say no, for whatever reason, you can resubmit the agreement, reword the agreement, rework it, and resubmit. No harm, no foul, as long as money hasn't changed hands. If that gets kicked back, then you can actually go to an arbitration with a third-party neutral arbitrator that's going to decide whether this deal that you've signed as an athlete is legal. That arbitration can last up to 45 days. But, and this is going to be an important but, During those 45 days, the NCAA and the College Sports Commission cannot take you away from your team. They can't impose penalties while that ongoing investigation or that arbitration is ongoing. There are some penalties if you are sign the contract and then find out that you are in violation of NIL Go. But if you repay the money, et cetera, you're okay, and just don't follow through the contract. That's my understanding of it. There's other aspects of this that I think are going to be important as well. But all in all, that is the whole situation right now where College Sports Commission is going to manage the affiliated and non-affiliated, as well as NIL compensation from the university. The College Sports Commission's role in particular, I really think is going to come down to that affiliated and non-affiliated NIL revenue. That will be where the rubber meets the road for them. All right, before I talk to you about Texas Tech, I want to take this minute to say thank you to our sponsor, Mark Malone, and the folks over at Advanced Pain Care.
Pros know the pain stops here.
Physical therapy helps me as an athlete then and now. And do I still need therapy? Yes. Advanced Pain Care helps with that.
Injuries will stack up. They'll add up. You can't let those injuries get you down, and Advanced Pain Care has been very helpful for me.
We can help with whatever's got you down, from nerve damage to our spinal cord stimulator. Pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. Same-day appointments available.
Advanced Pain Care. The pain stops here.
Thank you very much to Mark Malone, Dr. Mark Malone, and Advanced Pain Care for sponsoring the Saturday morning conversation. Hey guys, let's turn next our attention to Texas Tech. The Red Raiders in softball. Everybody made a big deal about their foray in softball with Naja Kennedy, the pitcher that was extraordinarily impressive. Everybody knew about her $1 million deal to be a pitcher at Texas Tech, transferring from Stanford to Texas Tech, one of the few times that will ever happen, I'm sure. But what I wanted to get at is this. Texas Tech since has gone on to sign 3 softball All-Americans, one from UCLA, one from Tennessee. I forget where the third one's from during this portal period. A lot of people wonder, how did they do this when they began to sign them after the new NIL House settlement? And come to find out, Sports Illustrated wrote an article yesterday or day before now that talked about how Texas Tech and a what I want to call this, a youth coach, a travel ball coach, had been actually steering players to Texas Tech and contacting parents of players, and in order to subvert them and lure players into the portal while they're still at the school of their at their current school. One of the young ladies in question is one out of the University of Tennessee, where apparently there were arrangements made before the portal even opened, and she would have had to have signed her agreement, I believe, before the portal opened to be pushed into, not before the portal opened, to be pushed into the portal, and her contract to be approved by NIL Go. It is a crazy situation, and I'll say this: there was a lot of last minute movement in this, but the problem I have for softball in this regard is that some of this happened clearly while these players were playing on other teams. If you remember, if this Tennessee player actually was starting to be courted and talking to people in the month of April, well, we just finished the World Series championship in June. So what was going on? She's playing in the College World Series while also having a deal with Texas Tech. Is that possible? I don't know if that's exactly how it happened, but the problem there is clearly somebody somewhere had a deal ahead of time, and I just don't know that that's where college sports wants to go. Hopefully the House settlement, now that it's actually going forward and we're outside of this window of not worrying about it, that is a scenario now that we get past with college sports, because that is a bad way for us as fans to be thinking about it. I don't want, and you don't want it either. I mean, what if it's Texas? What if a Texas player, what if Texas had made, well, I'll give you Hero Canoe for an example. University of Texas football player just transferred from Ohio State. If Texas would have been communicating with Hero Canoe while Hero Canoe in the national semifinal was still playing for Ohio State, doesn't that hurt the integrity of the game? It does to me. We don't want that. And I feel like it sounds like from this reporting of Sports Illustrated that Texas Tech may have been going against that aspect. So we'll see what all that means, but not something that I wanted to talk about necessarily, but hopefully that is one of the things that NIL, one aspect of NIL that we get away with, and that's get away from, and that's tampering. There are issues with that as it relates to the College Sports Commission, and they'll be overseeing a little bit of that as far as rules are concerned. All right, next piece to talk about is the big recruiting weekend, guys. Longhorns have 14 folks on campus right now. It is one of the first times in my life that I remember Texas has more players from another state, a single other state, than they have in from the state of Texas. There are 4 Texans on this list: Jalen Lott, Felix Ojo, Zayden Crimpin are all on the list, as well as Yaheem Riley, who's already committed to Texas. All 4 of those guys are really good players. Texas wants them all. Hope they come to Texas. But listen to this: there are 5 from the state of Georgia. 5, including Hezzy Kent, the tight end out of Brunswick, Georgia. Bryce Perry Wright and Dre Quinn out of Buford. Xavier Griffin out of Gainesville, Georgia. Braden Rouse, linebacker out of Marietta, Georgia. It is a full-on onslaught of players from the Southeast in the South region of the country. Not only are there 5 from Georgia, there are 2 from Florida, 1 from Alabama, and 1 from North Carolina. And just for good measure, there is 1 from New Jersey. Long story short, Texas hosting an elite group of guys this weekend. Jerry Hamilton had a great update last night. I think CJ and Jeff are going to give you what's the very latest a little bit later today as well. But the Longhorns hosting a number of elite players. We're hearing good results so far. One of the guys that I'm looking for is the guy at the very top of this list, Jalen Lott, whose dad, James, played at the University of Texas, a wide receiver. We'll see what happens. There is one wide receiver committed to Texas currently that's taking a visit elsewhere, and that's Chris Stewart out of Pearland's Shadow Creek. He's at Tennessee over this weekend, so we'll see where that comes out. But all in all, it's a blue chip list of players in Austin this weekend. All right, that's going to do it for this morning's Saturday conversation. I want to say thank you once again to our friends over at Advanced Pain Care. Give them a call. Again, same day, next day appointments available, 512-244-4272. That's 512-244-4272. All right, you guys have a good one. CJ and Jeff will be back with a larger update on recruiting about the very latest going on around 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock today. And then we'll also have some more for you later. Again, also check us out over at ontexasfootball.com. Thanks for the work behind the scenes of our producer, Matt Hutchison. I'm Bobby Burton. You guys have a good weekend. We'll be here all weekend long for you guys. Hook 'em horns.